Welcome to the first of the live seminars on the Unbreakable Mindset course. Now, I'm sure you guys will be really happy to know that it's actually the first day, the first week. Okay, so that, as I discussed the other day, there's a massive bedding in period with these things, and personally, I think it is a huge area of coaching that coaches massively overlook. It's my personal opinion. But I believe when you start a course that you should have everything that you need. Okay. From day one, be understood, be in the Facebook group, have started. And did I click record? Let me just double check. I'm panicking now. Yeah, it's recording. And be ready to go. So you should all be ready to go. Now, I will be posting up the responses to the recording of this. But if you haven't yet watched video 1 in the units and you haven't completed it and done your homework, which if you haven't done that, you will not know, is to introduce yourself and post your why in the group. This is for new starters. Then you need to sort yourself out and pronto, because you've had 7 days to do it and you haven't taken any action in 7 days towards a course that you paid for and signed up to. So you will be getting a nudge later tomorrow if you haven't done it. Okay, I'm going to leave it for today. But you will be getting a kick up the arse if you haven't done it, because lurking in this group will not get you anywhere. Okay, so all those units are there in order for you to complete, and to be completing 1 per day. So if you are an absolute legendary superstar and did your first 7 in the first 7 days, then I tip my cap to you. You're 7 days ahead and you can maybe allow yourself a couple of days off. Okay, if not, and at this stage you have still done nothing, that also isn't an issue, because today is day 1. So you have until the end of today to get off this live, watch unit 1, write your why, introduce yourself, and get it posted up in the group. New clients only. Okay, so I'm going to close the chat down for now, because it can become a little bit distracting. Can't even see where my comma is. It's stuck on there. Oh, great. Do you know what? This is the absolute... Can't even... beauty of technology, isn't it? And I don't know what's going on, but whatever's sharing, I cannot see any form of comma, so I can't click on anything at all. Great. Okay. So doesn't matter. Let's crack on. These obstacles are sent to try us. If we have any technical people on, I have no idea, but at the moment I can do nothing. I'm moving my mouse around and I can't see where the comma is, and it looks like I can do nothing apart from click the lines. Brilliant. So the first seminar is the overdeveloped version of what we did on the free one. Okay, so we're going to talk about dealing with stress. We're going to talk about dealing with overwhelm. We're going to talk about the past. We're going to talk about grief. And we're also going to talk about the key words that everyone seems to be triggered by currently, which are anxiety and depression. Now, I want you guys to know, as a context to start with, that I have been medically diagnosed with both, and PTSD and a personality disorder. So I'm talking from personal experience, but you may not agree with a lot of what I say. You may not be ready to hear it. You may think I'm an idiot. You may think I'm wrong. You may think I'm not right. You may think I'm full of crap. And what I want you to know is that that's all right. And that doesn't bother me, because not everyone is going to like everything that everyone says. Now, I saw a meme yesterday, which I think is the best thing that I've ever seen on Facebook. And it pretty much said something along the lines of, I can't remember. In fact, I didn't even see it myself. Nat told me about it. But it said along the lines of, I was scrolling through on Facebook. I saw something that someone had written. It really pissed me off and triggered me. I continued scrolling, went about the rest of my day, didn't give it another thought, and lived happily ever after. And that's so true. Okay. Guys, connect with anything that helps you, that you agree with, that you believe in, that moves you forward. But when you see something that you don't agree with, you don't believe, you don't trigger, think that person's full of crap, that's okay. That's just personal opinion. And that's what I wanted to start with tonight, because I think there's big learn. That doesn't mean that person's a dickhead. Doesn't mean they're wrong. Doesn't mean you're right. Doesn't mean it has to be confrontational. Doesn't mean it has to get into a debate. Doesn't mean any of those things, okay? Just means that that's their opinion and that's your opinion. You know, people will absolutely disagree with some of the things that I preach and that I coach. Likewise, some people will find that it changes their lives, that it will do for some people what Paul Mort's coaching has done for me, which is open my eyes to a lot of things that I hadn't considered before. I can't believe what's going on with this computer. Anyway, so dealing with stress, dealing with overwhelm, dealing with the past, and dealing with grief. Okay, so this is the perception changer. So hands up again, let us know in the comments. Sorry guys, this technical what's going on has just thrown me a little bit. I feel a little bit all over the shot and I'm gonna have to get it back. Okay, how often, especially parents here, are we massively kicking off because we're late? Kicking off at the kids, kicking off at the dogs, kicking off at the husband, kicking off at the wife. Nat and I still do it now. It's always, if I'm late, it's always her fault. If she's late, it's always my fault. We were our own worst enemy. It's never Logan's fault. He's not old enough yet, but I'm sure it will be his fault when he's messing around when we want him to get ready for school. Okay. But when this happens, we need to realize that it is always Martin's entered and I can't even admit him. Anybody got any ideas what I can do or why I can't see the cursor? Oh, guys, honestly, I don't even know what to do. Is it anyone? I can't even think what to do. Like, there's people trying to get into the room. Stevie boy. That's better. Sorry guys, I can see now. It was completely throwing me that. I'll just leave it like it is there. I couldn't see anything at all. Martin's here now. Martin, how you doing? So I feel like I've got my mojo back now. Sorry guys, we're basically going to restart. We had a bit of a technical issue there, but it's back. And for some reason, when I'm playing this slide, we'll try one more time. Yeah, we're completely losing the cursor and it's disappearing. So we're just going to stay out of that. Imagine it might be, doesn't matter. That's good enough, isn't it? The presentation's good enough. Okay. So we're very often kicking off because we're running late and it's always down to someone else's fault. Okay. And I'm going to come on to the day planner after this and it is absolutely incredible. Okay. It's only just come through about 15 minutes ago. But it's going to help with this situation because what we need to understand, the very, very, very first thing about stress, okay, is that we create it. And that's huge when you can accept it. and when you can take ownership of it. And until you can, I'm going to put this forward, is that you will continue to be exceptionally stressed all of the time. Okay. Who's ever said, oh God, I'm just so stressed at the minute. Oh God, I've got so much stress in my life right now. I'm literally so stressed, I can't deal with it. Okay. Why are we stressed? And why are we overwhelmed? Well, it comes down to several things. It almost certainly comes down to your own planning and your own scheduling. Okay. Very often, and I've fallen into this trap so many times myself, it's also because you're tired. Okay. As I said, you get into the Netflix marathon, you get into Sons of Anarchy, you get into Breaking Bad, you end up having a few glasses of wine on a school night when you know damn well that you shouldn't have, or you end up having a few beers, or you make the wrong decision to go for a couple with the lads in different times after work for the pub, which means you still have stuff to do when you get home because you didn't really have time to do the extra thing that you added in the first place. So then you're left with too many jobs which you should have put first to do in too little time. What then happens? We create stress. Okay. So, again, how many times, how many hours? I urge you to do this now. And I do understand that it's a bit different for me because I run an online business, but every time I do it, it makes me feel a little bit sick at myself, my own behavior. Actually, for once in my life, I don't even know where it is. Go and check your screen time on your phone, okay? Because again, stress is created very often by hours of messing around on your phone. So we need to start getting a handle on that, which is on the phone. We've got a daily screen time tracker, okay, on the form. Now, we very often refuse to take responsibility for stress because when that stress hormone cortisol has already started kicking in, it's our knee-jerk reaction to want to blame anyone else but ourselves. Okay. And this will not change until you can take responsibility for that. And you have to work backwards. So every single time I end up in a highly stressful situation, which happens very, very often, I am literally the king of taking on too much. And if there's one thing that I've written down where I need to improve this year, it's the ability to say no. Okay. Which is something that I find really hard. And I've actually put some things in place in order to do that. So I've actually got a scripted message on my phone, and I think you guys could probably use this and find it helpful as well, is I've created a 10-minute buffer zone in my head of when someone asks me to do something, okay? So someone will ask me to do a mix, someone will ask me to do a radio show, someone will ask me to remix their track, someone will ask me to go do a podcast. This is just work, okay? And my auto default just go, yeah, I'd love to do that. Danny Savage last week has asked me to go on a podcast and talk about mindset. It's an iTunes #1 podcast. I'm actually going to say no to it, which seems like a crazy decision. Why? Because I've got too much on that week already, and it doesn't matter how good the thing is, it will have a knock-on effect. So very often it is about learning to stay stressed. And if you go back and start to look at the times when the stress has been caused, hand on heart, you will almost certainly find it's because you either put too much into too short a time frame, you didn't plan it properly, you planned it properly, but then you didn't follow through with the schedule, or you spent half of the time when you should be doing what you agreed to, pissing around on your phone. Okay. Procrastinating is the word. But again, I don't believe these are things that we don't become stressed as an individual. You're not a stressed person, but we hear that described all the time. God, I can't deal with her. She's so freaking stressy. Okay. She's not. She's just normal. She's exactly the same as you and I. But she put a load of things in her life that created stress, created the hormone, and then she reacted to it. Okay. So again, the overwhelm triggered people. This, when I posted it the other day, really, really, really upset some people because they didn't look deeply enough into the word and they just instantly knee-jerked to what it meant to them. What did I put? I put that overwhelm doesn't exist. I put that overwhelm is a myth. It was meant to trigger people. That's what good marketers do. It's called a headline or a hook. Okay. But overwhelm, quite simply, again, is created. Does it exist? Of course it does. Okay. Let's use the current situation as an example. If there's 100 nurses and they're trying to treat 400 people and they don't have enough equipment, will they be overwhelmed? Of course they do. But the way I look at it is very, very different. And that situation cannot be changed. So they have to look at it in the same way, which is educationally. Okay. So for me, overwhelm is your failure to list all your daily tasks. Can't wait to show you this planner, which you're all going to get tonight. Prioritize them. Anyone can write a to-do list, okay? A to-do list is for amateurs. If you want to be an amateur, carry on writing a to-do list. If you want to be a professional, write yourself a daily schedule, okay? Because you have to prioritize the tasks in order, okay? In terms of payoff, in terms of value, okay? And you also have to realize that you cannot do all of the things yourself at once. Because if you try, mums, you are the worst at this. And you will all know that I love mums more than anything in the entire world. And I've said many times as well that it's single mums, even more so, and single dads, that I have the most unquantifiable amount of respect for. But you very often, we as parents, very often become very stressed and very overwhelmed because we try to do all of the things at once with no planning, no schedule, no discipline, and no prioritizing. Okay. So the classic example would be you're already running late. The kids are late for school. Why are they late for school? Because you probably didn't get them up early enough, okay? Or you didn't get their clothes out ready, or you hadn't done the tasks the night before, okay? It's created, whatever way we want to try and sugarcoat it, it's created, okay? So what we have to work on is creating the daily tasks, prioritizing them in terms of payoff or importance or value, and then making sure that we do them one at a time, okay? Because otherwise you just end up thinking that you have to do all of the things all of the time, all at once, and that will destroy you. Absolutely, hand on heart, it will destroy you. Now, you also need to be ruthless with this. And I'm going to talk about a friend. I'm going to give him a fictitious name. Let's call him Bob. Okay. Bob texts me every day about something that isn't particularly relevant. It's normally something about a song, or it's a fucking meme, or it's a stupid video, or it's some crap out of a WhatsApp group, some meme to do with anything, okay? If I ignore Bob for more than 2 hours, Bob sends me a message asking if I'm all right. I don't reply to it again. Why? Because I would get distracted constantly, okay? I'm not being ruthless. I'm not saying that Bob's not important, okay? But how often have you been in this situation, okay? Someone's messaged you on Facebook, Someone's messaging you on WhatsApp. You've got your emails open. There's something running on YouTube. You're listening to a bit of music. The TV's on in the background. You're thinking about something else because you're mentally elsewhere. And then you start throwing all those words out. Oh my God, I'm so stressed. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm not surprised. You're trying to do 8 things at once. When I explained this to Bob, he says, why have you been ignoring me? I said, because I was doing things that are more important, Bob, than talking shit about house music with you on WhatsApp. Because what happens, Bob, is if I answer your WhatsApp and I reply what I think about that song, you're then going to reply back. And then I'm going to reply back. And then an hour's gone. Or it can be even worse. It can be on Facebook and it can ping up. Oh my God, the amount of hours of my life I've wasted doing this. So a message pops up. Bob sent me a message. Go on to Facebook to read the message. Start scrolling. Then I'm on a page. Then I'm looking at an advert. Then I'm listening to Tony Robbins. Then I see something about a piano loops house sample pack that I don't really need, but it looks amazing and it's on offer. So I'm going to buy it. So now I'm on the sample packs page, but I'm on there. And then there's another offer to sign up to a piano course that's only £9 today with Thomas Gold. And then I'm on Thomas Gold's page. And before you know it, it's gone. Okay. So we have to get focused. One platform, one thing, one job, what's most important, do it, and then move on to the next one. Okay. And this will be quite hard for some of your friends to accept. And my friends actually laugh at me now. A guy who's doing the social media for my SoundCloud and Mixcloud and stuff brought it up in a conversation on Sunday. He went, I can't believe I have to book. I can't believe I work for you and I have to book a call with you. I said, well, why wouldn't you have to book a call? Can you imagine if I just answered my phone every time it rang, or I replied to a text message every time I got a text, or I replied to one of your messages every time you sent one on PT Hub, or every time I got a ping on the Facebook page? I would literally get nothing done the entire day. Okay. So we need to start working on this. What's most important? Write it down, do it until it's finished. Okay. Other things can wait, because trust me, if you're trying to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things at once, not only will you not get any of them complete, but you will also feel completely stressed and completely overwhelmed, and you won't be able to focus very often, especially if we're in terms of reading a book or watching something we want to learn about. It can take 15 minutes to get into a solid mental focus and flow. And you'll all have been in that position as well, when you've thought, you'll get angry. Like I can get flip at Nat sometimes, and I shouldn't. And that's still something I need to work on, but we're all improving. But I will be in a really good flow with something, a flow state with work, and it'll have taken me 15 minutes of focus to get there. And then she'll shout and ask me to do something, or something will happen and it'll drive me mad, because I know that once you lose that flow, it's hard to get it back, which is why I don't have WhatsApp on. That's why I don't have Messenger on. That's why I only have one window open on my computer. So if I can give you guys one piece of advice, it's that. But how do we deal with saying no? Okay, grab a pen, because this is genius and it's a very easy way to do it. Okay. And I'll tell you another inkling as into why most of you are doing it wrong. Because what most people do is, when you want to say no, you either say, let's say, these are fictitious names again. Janet gets on the phone and says, you coming to Robin's wedding in March? And you don't want to go to Robin's wedding. You can't think of anything worse. You don't even know Robin. You don't care. You don't want to be there. The second you say yes, you're going to spend the next 3 months dreading it, because you don't want to go and you don't even like the people. So you either say, yeah, I'll come because I'm there. And then you're going to have to say no at some point, which is going to be even more awkward, and you have to let them down. Or you say, sounds good. Not too sure what I'm doing in March, but I'll think about it. Okay. That's the same as the weakness in the language when someone says, when you've given up smoking and someone says, do you want a cigarette? And you say, no, I'm trying to give up. You're opening them to ask you again. You're leaving it open. It's not a statement. You're saying, I've not really done it yet. I kind of said no and I kind of given up, but I don't really believe that's going to happen. I don't even believe it myself. You can tell it in your language. So the language flip there, going off on a tangent, would be, no, I really don't. I've given up smoking 31 days, proud as punch, and I'm never going to go back. Well, fair play. Do you think she's going to ask you if you want a fag again? Probably not. Now, with the invites, this is the line that I use. Okay. Robin, thank you so much for thinking of me. But unfortunately, I've already planned too much in March and I'm completely oversubscribed. So on this occasion, I'm going to have to say no. Okay, it can't be countered. Can't be countered. It's not, you don't have to, because the other thing we do is we end up wanting to thinking we need to justify or quantify a reason why we don't want to go and do something that we don't want to do. Okay, so that's your easy way out of it. So I hope that helps. And the win technique, which we use within this dealing with the stress and the overwhelm situation, simply stands for what's important now. And that is something that I urge you guys to ingrain in your mind every day. Every time, okay, and this happened to me only yesterday. I had about 5 things left on my schedule. I don't know if I've got a copy of mine to show you. So basically, I was trying to get things done. I have my most important job, which you guys will have. I have jobs that I can delegate and have 3 other highly important tasks. I then have a brain dump. Okay, I was trying to get 3 or 4 of the things in the brain dump finished. They were all relatively small, relatively low value jobs, but I wanted them done so my list was smaller tomorrow. Now, there was only one of them that needed doing yesterday. The others still don't even need doing today. But I was creating stress myself over wanting to get them done. And I had to flip out of it and I had to use win. And I use the win technique all the time. And it stands for what's important now. Because very often you faff about doing things that aren't important. And there's that still one thing there that really needs to be done before you go to bed. It's the thing is what I would call critical. It has to be completed today. So why aren't we doing that first when we could get the critical thing done and then relax and have no stress? Instead, we faff around doing the non-critical things for 2 to 3 hours until we're more tired, time's running out, and the critical thing needs doing. We then start to feel overwhelmed. We start to feel stressed because it's running down. So we have to schedule and we have to prioritize. This form is going to help you with that. And trust me, that will 100% change your life. Okay, this form will change your life. This form's the culmination of like 2 years for me, which is why I didn't just rinse it out last week because I wasn't completely happy with it. It will still be you guys that road test it. Okay. So yeah, grief we wanted to discuss. I don't want to do too long on this, but I did want to do a section on grief as well, because I know it's hugely something that people are having to deal with at the moment. Now, I don't know about you, but when I think of the word grief, I always think of it, I auto reset to bereavement. So grief for me is someone has died and I'm really upset about it. I've been through that a lot. Now, other grief you may kind of have thought of might be ending a relationship, okay, or ending a very kind of something that you had that you loved, and you've now lost it. Form of grief. Now, what I will have you consider, and what most people won't realize, is I think all of us deal with grief most weeks in some form, which is what I'm going to come on to, and how and why the Kubler-Ross cycle of grief is so important and how we need to implement it. So I'm going to use the first lockdown as an example, because I've never seen grief be so important and yet it have nothing to do with with death. Okay, it was all to do with a change of situation, and losing some things that we were used to. So these stages: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance, Mr. Komarov. The key to dealing with this is, no matter how brutal this may sound at the time, and again, this is only my advice and my experience, it might be different for you, but the quicker you can get through each of those stages, the easier everything becomes. Okay, so if you use the lockdown as an example, some people were in denial for upwards of 2 to 3 months. I think even when it actually happened, some people were still in, no, 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 won't happen to me. Still going to the pub, still going to the gym. No, not wearing a mask, not doing this, not doing that, won't happen to me. Gym owners saying they'll have to bring the army down to close me down, in complete denial that anything was happening. Some people are still in complete denial now, even though the amount of deaths in people in their 30s and things, see, some people are still in denial, and the longer you stay there, the more hurtful it will be, the more damaging, and the more it will hold you back, in my opinion. Now, once we pass denial, we head into anger. Now, anger is anger at the current situation, anger at Boris. It might be anger at the reason why you lost a job. It might be anger at your partner who ended a relationship, even though deep down you know that you're better off without them. Okay, it could be anger at someone for losing you, but it's always the next stage. Once we finally kind of give in, which my advice is to get through denial in 1 day. Okay, because it's happening, and it happens, didn't it? Is to get through anger as quickly as possible. Get it out, do what you need to do, but get through it as quick as possible. Because again, if you stay in anger for a long period, we're eating away at time, aren't we, of the cycle? We're eating away at the time when we're not feeling good, we're not progressing, we're not feeling happy, we're not developing ourselves. We then hit, it's called bargaining, this in the Kubler-Ross model, but I actually rename it myself. So I call it the shoulda, woulda, coulda stage. Okay, now lockdown example of this for me was, I should have saved more money, I should have prepared for it, I should have got the gym plans quicker, the home plans ready quicker, I shouldn't have bought that car, I shouldn't have spent money on that, I should have saved more, I should have done everything. It's like a bargaining. Okay, so you'd like, oh, everything would have been different if I'd have just done X, Y, and Z. But again, you need to get through that as quickly as possible. An idea in, and a close friend of mine has actually experienced that this weekend. It's very, very prominent and common in bereavements. I should have said this before they died. I wish I'd done that. If only I'd have known they were going to die, I would have spent more time with them. I would have done this. I would have done that. And again, it's a very pointless phase that is not going to help the process. So again, it will happen, but we need to get through it quickly. Now, unlike most cycles, we then hit the worst possible stage, followed by the best stage at step 4. So once we've denied it's going to happen, once we've got angry at Boris, even though it's not his fault, once we've wished we'd done things differently and we wouldn't be in the situation we are, but we are, once all those are gone, we then tend to hit the depressing or feeling completely down in the dumps cycle of grief. Okay, now again, we need to move through this quickly. I actually, hands up, I'm going to say, I think I stuck in this for about a week in that first lockdown. There was a point when I was just like, what is the point? What is the point of life anymore? I didn't even get it. I couldn't deal with it. But again, we then found acceptance very quickly. What positives can we take from it? This is happening. What does it mean? How can we move forward? How can we find acceptance? How can we find meaning? What can we change? What can we focus on? How do we switch perception? So you guys will have heard me say this 100 times now. How do we start focusing on what we can do so we feel strong and empowered, rather than focusing on what we can't do, which is going to leave us weak and empowered. Okay, so those are those 5 stages of grief, and I still use them in many areas of life, many areas of business, and I think it will mean a lot for you to remember those, and remember that you are going to feel happier the quicker you can get through them. You will have to go through them when you grieve for anything, but try to make the focus on spending as little time as possible in the first 4. Okay. Kylie, I can't remember her surname, Kylie James from Australia taught me this in the first lockdown. And when it happened in the second lockdown, I got through them like in 2 days. I dealt with it. What's the word people use? Compartmentalized it, and was already cracking on. So it was a huge learning, and that's why I always recoach it, because the more you can remember it and the more you can get through that, the better you will be at dealing with those situations. So the next phase. So we're going to spend about 10 minutes on this, and then I'm going to open up for some Q&A because I want it to be a little bit anxious, okay? A little bit interactive, sorry. Now, this is the part that will trigger some people, but I also think, I hope it helps people. And that's how it's intended. So whether you agree or not, you want that to be I want you to know, we've got a dog visitor. I want you to know that that's my intention, and this is my own journey, and this is what helped me escape it. Now, when I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, attempted my own life twice, and was also had to see a psychiatric nurse, which was a bit soul destroying. Been to rehab, and was also diagnosed with a personality disorder, although they didn't even really tell me what it was, apart from they told me that it meant that I couldn't control my emotions, which was why I was angry, sad, happy. 1 minute I could be bouncing off walls, the most popular person in the room. The next minute I could be wanting to jump off a bridge. So it hammered a certain area of my life, but there was absolutely, in my mind right now, zero doubt that had I not taken so many drugs when I was younger, and was continuing to at that point, had I not smashed ridiculous amounts of alcohol every weekend, had I not had horrific nutrition, kept really poor company, probably missed out on 3 nights sleep every week, and had an unhappy career, would that have happened? Most likely, in my opinion, probably not. But what happened was, when that finally dragged me to the doctors and they said, you've got this, you've got this, you've got that, it almost gave me a get out clause. Okay. And that's why I'm against it now. Now, listen to some of Paul's stuff as well. We can all say that, these titles are hormonal balances and they're medical conditions, but I agree with him, they're not. You can't test for anxiety. You can't test for depression. You can't catch them. You can't pass them on. They're not contagious. Now, I'm not saying they're not highly dangerous, okay? They're that dangerous that I attempted to take my own life twice. But what I'm saying is that they're created by our behavior, by our past, by our actions, by our physiology, by what we eat, by the amount of sleep we get, by the people we hang around with, by whether we've got a history of taking drugs or drinking alcohol. It all adds up, okay? And then the things that we also don't add in are the unhappy career, the unhappy relationship, the low mood, the low energy, the destructive relationship, and the fact that very often as humans, we can become exhausted mentally and physically, okay? Now, can you see now how feeling anxious and depressed and suicidal was very easily created as a result of all those things. And I would put it forward that, you know, I didn't just suddenly wake up feeling like that. It happened over time, but it happened as a result of things that I was doing, things that happened to me, behaviors, actions, human emotions, and not having anyone to help me deal with it. Most of all, not understanding it and allowing it to go kind of unmentioned and not wanting to talk about it, until I did. When at that point, when I did, I kind of liked it because it gave me extra attention, gave me extra affection, gave me extra love. It gave me an outlet. So Lee's got fucked off his head again, but it's all right because he's had a bad past and he's suffering with this and he's suffering with that. So that makes it all right. And it doesn't make it all right. Still made a decision. Okay. And this is my spin on it. Very much come from being coached by Paul and Garrett, that I believe they were created, and that I believe now, and I think I'm proof now, that the emotions can be created in the other way. And that is how I defeated them, by understanding that they are just an emotion that I'm experiencing at a time as a result of things that had happened or things that I've done. Okay. Now, what that means is that they can be changed, because once you change the inputs, once you change the physiology, once you change the environment, once you change your behavior, once you change your schedule, once you change what you're eating, how you're behaving, how much alcohol you're consuming, it all of a sudden dramatically improves. Okay. But a big danger for me is that people, once they are diagnosed, just close the door, become very attached to it because of the extra love and the extra attention. And it's almost becomes a title that allows you to give up. And that's what I don't want anyone to do. And that's what I want this to help with. And that's what I want the take home to be. And I don't want this to be a kind of down in the dumps kind of coaching session, but I want it to be that epiphany where it was for me, when I'm like, I can just hear Paul's voice all the time saying, you can't catch it. It's not contagious. Where did you get it from? Did you have it when you were 15? And for anyone who's feeling that way out, I hope that rings true in some way, and I hope it helps. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that situation, is that you do control your own emotions. I'm not saying in any way, shape or form that that's easy. It's not. Okay. Simple. Yeah. Easy. No, not at all. But we can start to control the things, which is managing our state, controlling what we eat, controlling the exercise we get, controlling the company we take, you know, the amount of sleep we get, taking care of ourselves, giving a shit about what you put in your body, you know, caring about how you look after your body, caring about how much sleep you get, caring about how much water you drink, caring about the food that you eat, caring about the company that you keep, caring enough to make change and realize that, you know, it may just still be small change at the start, but whatever you are feeling, that's what it is. It's a temporary rumble strip, and it can be changed. Because the worry for me is that when people feel a certain way and they are then told that they have a certain thing, and medication does help some people, don't get me wrong, it can feel very final. And that's how I felt. And that's how I don't want anyone to feel, because final, it almost feels like a disease, or like something you just can't get rid of, right? You've got that now, so you just have to deal with it. Well, you actually don't. You're experiencing some feelings that you need to have some help to deal with, and you're going to have to work hard to get out of it, which is what I did. And that is how I defeated it, by putting that many flowers in my head that I watered, that there was no room left for the weeds, because in this period that's on that screen, all I was doing was watering weeds, not talking about my mum, not talking about my past, not talking about when I was a child, not talking about the things that I went through, not talking about my feelings, and just sedating it until it got to a point when it was make or break. Okay, so that's how I believe I created it. I think it was all created by the inputs and past experiences, but how I defeated it was by persistent personal development. Now, you clearly have an interest in personal development, or you wouldn't be listening to me right now. Okay, and what I want to put forward is that you need to jump on that wagon or that train or that horse, and you need to ride that every single day for the rest of your life. Because hand on heart, I cannot go a single day now without going for my morning walk and listening to my personal development. And every time I listen to one of my personal development books, something else strikes a chord. Okay, and I've also got a support network. So I understand that it's okay if I'm feeling that way out. It's okay. Doesn't mean I'm bad. Doesn't mean anything's wrong. Just I need to get a handle on my state, and I need to change it, and I need to think about my physiology. Why am I feeling particularly upset and stressy today? Okay, what's the reason for it? What does it mean? Uncover it, fix it. But yeah, jump on that personal development bandwagon, guys, and ride that horse, because once you're on it, you're on it, and you will consistently get better and better and better. So I hope that's been helpful tonight. And now I'm going to attempt to close this down. It's the joys of having a 2-year-old working from home. And we are back on. So guys, feel free to put your cams on. It'd be nice to see some faces. And the chat is open. So post any questions now, anything you want at all. If anyone wants me to open their microphone up and you want to ask any questions, that's absolutely fine. I would love to answer any questions you've got live, but think about that. But before you do it, I'm going to show you this form, and you're actually the first people to see it. And I'm pretty geeked out and impressed by it. Okay, so let's get this composed. And literally, Josh has sent this to me about 10 minutes ago, and I can't even find it. I've got this weird feeling that no one's quite as excited as me, but hey ho. So we are going to have this, and it's actually also a web-based version as well. You are the first people to see this. So it will also be as a PDF, so you can use it in a notepad. You can use it on your iPad. You can have it open on your phone as a laptop, and you'll be able to touch the buttons, so it's interactive, so you can tick them off. So each day we have our reminder of no social media, no emails, or no TV before 8 a.m. No starting the day watching depression stuff, no dealing with any confrontation, no looking at anybody else's highlights reels that are making you feel not as good about your own situation. Okay, so we tick that off every single day. Our morning stretches, our morning walk and our steps, our 1 litre of water before 10 a.m, plan the day's food, and 30 minutes of personal development listening. That is my bulletproof morning routine. You might have to change it slightly. You're all getting this form, by the way, once I've tested it a bit more. But then we also do the morning journal. So we have an awareness, okay, between, yeah, it does work. You can see he's put the little ticks in. How do I feel mentally between 1 and 10? And how do I feel physically between 1 and 10? Do not lie on this, okay? You are the only person that's going to see it. If you feel really low mentally and physically, then the most important thing is having awareness of that, not hiding it and not suppressing it. So then we start to get a handle on the next question, which is what can I do to improve this? Okay. It might be personal development. It might be stretching. It might be putting some music on. It might, whatever it is that you need to do to snap and change that state, because that state can set the tone for your entire day. Okay. Then we have the next box. What is the most single important job that I complete today? You do this every day before you do anything else, whether it's within your job, whether it's in your work, whether it's within your relationship, whatever it is, whatever you guys know what the most important thing you need to do each day is. Do that before you do anything else. And trust me, every single day gets easier. Okay. 2 other little tricks. Appreciation message sent. This is a game changer. Someone who hasn't heard from you for ages. Okay. I actually, my best friend Bex from way back in Leeds, when I had a really tough time, which culminated in one of the suicide attempts. Part of what came out of that was it was when my granddad was still alive, and her mum actually rang him to come and pick me up, which was another game-changing moment. And I'd never really discussed that. And a few weeks ago on the advice, I sent her a text message just to say that, and it had never been discussed, which she forwarded to her mum, and she thinks it was the most amazing thing she'd ever received in her life. So very often, you know, go back through history, go back through your life, think about that friend that, do you know what, that was really good what he did for me at that time, and I don't think I ever really said thank you, or I don't think I ever really appreciated it. Again, it doesn't have to be that deep. Might just be sending your partner a message every day saying that you love them. You know, how many people should do that more than they do? Your parents, you're ringing your nan. It could be anything, okay? But making that a daily habit is epic, because not only does it make them feel good, it will make you feel good as well, okay? And always, today I am grateful for. You can go as deep or as loose as you want on this. It might be as easy as a roof over my head, food on the table, you know, that I can walk, that I'm fit, that I'm healthy, that I'm alive. You know, when you really dig deep on that on a daily basis, you should be needing a bigger box. Okay. So let's move up. We then have the other message. Who needs me to show up for them today and why? Okay. Mine is pretty much clients, Logan and Nat, every single day. Don't worry about it being the same thing every day. Repetition is the master of all skill. So if it's important that you remember it every day. We then have, you can see now why it was so difficult to try and get this onto one page. We then have our evening routine and our reminder. Sorry, it's a bit small. All social media and phone off at 8 p.m. Total steps completed today. So we have an awareness of how much we're moving. Total calories consumed today. So we have an awareness if we're in a calorie deficit or not. If fat loss is the goal. Total number of consecutive alcohol-free days. And is tomorrow's planner completed? Okay. By tomorrow's planner, I mean what's on the right-hand side here, which I will always do before I go to bed. And another one, if you go out and do your morning exercise, make it simple for yourself. The last box, are all my clothes out ready for the morning? Okay, because that's a big thing that will create a lot less stress. When you're tired, you might not have had a good night's sleep. Having your clothes ready in the morning, especially if you need to go out and do a gym session or a run, could be a game changer. And then our evening journal is on there as well. So did I do what I said I would today? Yes or no? And what were today's 3 major wins? Okay. Shouldn't be a big thing, this form. You should be able to fill it in either as you go and what works for you, or in the morning, quick check at lunchtime to see where you're at. As a bit of leveler, and also at night time. And the evening journal is the 3 wins. How did they make you feel? So very often, it's called the amygdala, which is a part of the brain, but it auto resets to anything that is bad, anything that is negative, anything that is weedy, anything that you don't feel good about, anything when you don't feel you're good enough, like it went wrong. That is where the brain will fester. So this is a very important task, that before bed, It might be, it doesn't have to be big. If you pick out one thing why people overcomplicate these thoughts, they think, oh, 3 wins today, like it needs to be something massive. It might be stuck within my calories, got my steps in, completed my form. It could be that simple. Those 3 things alone will be life changing, and they will be game changing. But I think very often where people get when we talk about celebrating wins, which will start to auto reset your brain on the positive before you go to bed, and actually maybe sit there thinking, oh, do you know what? That wasn't actually quite a bad day. Or it might be the knee jerk that you think, oh my God, I can't even write, got my steps in because I didn't. I can't even write, sent my appreciation message because I didn't do it. I can't even write, completed my form because I couldn't be asked to fill it in. Okay. Even if it is that, that's still a game changer because it's an awareness that you need to do the first thing in your evening journal tomorrow, which is do what I said I would today. Okay. But again, just having that planner, let's move this over. There we go. Again, on the right hand side is going to allow us, because what so many of you are doing, and I know you're doing this because I did it for however many years of my life, you literally, it's what's called riding the horse of life. So you get up and you literally have no plan whatsoever. All you know is that you're really busy, and you're going to keep telling everyone how busy you are and how many hours you work and how you're Mother Teresa and how you do everything for everyone else and how you always put other people first. And then the next minute you're complaining about stress and overwhelm and depression and anxiety because you get up and the day runs you. There's one thing that I wanted to take away today, is that this form is going to allow you to start running your day. And that's it for tonight. So I haven't completely tested it yet, but I will post it. In fact, I'll post it in the group and you guys can test it tonight. So yeah, I hope that's been helpful, guys. The following seminars will be every Monday at 6 o'clock now. So I'll actually send the Zoom schedule out, and I'll figure out why I can't see my comma when I share Keynote. So we've not got that issue again at the start. But yeah, guys, let's get after it. We've got 4 weeks. Catherine, Michelle, I know you've joined the nutrition as well, which is great, and the training. And yeah, just being here, guys, is amazing. And I want to say thank you to you for that. Martin is off on his rower. Buddy, learn while you burn. Go for it. Learn while you burn. Don't mind us. Sorry for keeping you. I'm kidding. So yeah, guys, thank you for being here. And it's massive, even just the fact that you're here, because sometimes the hardest thing in the world is to step up and go, you know, things aren't quite right and I need to work on that. But trust me, you know, when you do work on it, it is life-changing. Okay, there's no questions apart from, do we just work through the units this week? So yeah, there's 27 units now, because I'm adding a bonus one each week, which is 1 video for every single day. And then there's 4 live seminars. This is number 1. There will be 3 more. You can do 2 per day. You don't have to do 1 every day. Do them at your own time. Some of you will be way ahead now. You can go back and do ones that you associate with. But you guys get access to that group forever. So don't allow that to become something that overwhelms and stresses you out. But if you're filling in this planner, I think you can definitely find half an hour to be watching or listening to your video each day. If not, you need to work on filling in your planner. But yeah, homework just goes in the Facebook group. So everyone should have watched by the end of today. You should have watched Unit 1. You should have written your why, and you should have introduced yourself as well. Just really briefly on there, whoever's saying thank you and wants to know about the units, all I know is that you're an iPad. So I'm not being rude. I just know that you're an iPad. So I don't know who it is. If you want to say who it is, that'd be cool. But okay, the why. Remember this. The why is the emotional attachment to the goal. The why is not, I want to lose 5 stone. I want to beat depression. I want to feel better. I want to get a new job. I want to do this. Okay. Those are the goals. They're not enough. It's too weak. Debbie, how you doing? Okay. The emotional attachment is the why. Okay. Do you want me to post? I'll post mine in the group. It's pretty long, and it's pretty deep, but it keeps me on track as well. But the why is the emotional attachment. So mine is related to my why is wanting to make Nat and Logan proud. My why is wanting to know that my mum didn't die in vain and that I'm still the beacon that's shining for her. It's the emotional attachment to the goal. It's the reason why you want to do the thing, not the thing you want to do. Because I've seen some people post and they think the why is why they are here, what they want to achieve, what they want to get out of it. That's not the why, that's the goal. The why is the emotional attachment to that. So, it might be make my little boy proud. It might be, be the person my partner needs to be. It might be for myself, but it's the emotional attachment to the goal. So if you've got that wrong, go back and watch Unit 1 again. And rewrite your why, because that is really, really important, because that is the single most thing that you go back to when it gets tough that will keep you on top, and on track. Guys, I'm off. Take care, and I'll see you in the morning. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. Get back on that rower, Martin. Got 25 more minutes, yeah?